Welcome back to the Gun Collective podcast. Guys, we've got another great show for you. Of course, my name is Jon Patton. I'm joined by a very, very special guest this week. But first, we got to keep the lights on. There are a lot of lights in this studio. We got to keep them all turned on. We got to thank our sponsor, Vertex. It's vertx.com. Use the code TGC. Get yourself a discount. They make bags for EDC. They make a lot of gear, apparel, and now they're getting into overlanding and vehicle storage, which is awesome. I'm super excited about that. The code is TGC at Vertex, vertx.com. Also, check out Blackout Coffee, blackoutcoffee.com/TGC. It's an easy code to remember. And get yourself a discount over there. Go buy our Tenacity blend. We love you. Thank you so much for doing that. Now, I'm joined by this legend of a human being, and I will explain in a minute why I refer to him as a legend. There was one power move in this guy's history that just set me up to appreciate him more as a human. This is Jordan Vinroe. Jordan, how are you?
Great, man. Glad to be here. How are you, John?
So this power move, I gotta talk to you about this.
Right.
There was a company that you own today. You still own this company. And you were being kept out of a local gun show. They kind of gave you the boot a little bit. Can you explain what the hell happened? Because I think it sets the stage for who you are as a person.
Yeah.
So tell that story.
Yeah, sure. So JSD Supply is our original company that kind of kicked off my run at the firearms industry. So we sell 80%, or we sold 80% receivers and parts and those sort of things.
And you're a pretty big player in that game, correct?
We were. I mean, I don't think I realized it at the time, but
okay.
Yeah,
we were just good and focused.
Bad. Yeah. I get really focused on certain things, and that was one of them, and just kind of head down and just keep pushing through each day and just do a little bit better. And it over the course of, at the time it was 7 or 8 years that we were in business, and it was really, really starting to crank. So,
right.
So there seems to be controversy over individuals creating their own firearms. It's 100% legal. It's being more restricted today in different states, but up to that point on a federal level and most states, anybody who could legally own a firearm could create their own. And so that's what that's what we were providing. Parts for that, for the individual to create their own arms. So there's, like I said, there's a bit of controversy on both sides. on the political side, in our own 2A space. I mean, you have the some of the boomer FUDs, I guess, is the memes.
I was wondering how you were going to refer to those people.
I have to be careful because some of those are, they're good customers too, but there's a select few that don't like, black guns, semi-automatic guns. If you need more than 3 rounds to hunt a deer, you shouldn't be hunting a deer, or more than one round. So those
people still exist.
They still exist. Yeah, they're phasing out, as life would have it. Yeah. So anyhow, there was a big kerfluffle in the gun show circuit, and there's basically a ban on selling 80% firearms, at these gun shows, or receivers, precursor receivers. So it kind of just so happened that we were looking to expand the business. I love gun shows. I tried to start one years ago. I think it was 2000, I don't know, maybe 14, 15, something like that. And It didn't go. We didn't have any money really, and it was quite a bit more involved than I had anticipated, which is fine. Learn from that. So we were in discussions with the promoter in Pennsylvania to make a purchase, or at some point when he was ready to retire and sell, that we would at least be first in line to have that conversation. So it all just kind of worked out that he was ready to sell around the same time that this happened. So
like my whole perspective on this is just anger. Anger.
Right. So October of 2021, we ended up purchasing Eagle Shows, and we've been making a run at that. It's been awesome. It's one of my favorite businesses that we operate.
I think it's important for the audience to know that there were what I will refer to as a bunch of FUD dickheads here in Pennsylvania trying to prevent Jordan from selling things that were legal to possess and own. And they blamed him and people like him for crime in cities like Philadelphia. And I think that's total horse shit from the ground up. And this was particularly, there was an outspoken guy named Kim Stolfer, who is part, or was, I don't know if he's still involved, part of a group called FOAC, Firearms Owners Against Crime here in Pennsylvania. And it seemed like he had sort of I don't know, some sort of chip on his shoulder for 80% guns. And he was like, no, we can't have these. We can't have these. And he had the ear of the owner of the, I guess, gun show promoter. And that is what I saw from the outside looking in, someone trying to keep you out from something that was totally legal. And we all just kind of went, what? And then, I don't know what the timeline was on that. It was probably a couple months. And then suddenly you own the whole thing. And to me, that is the biggest FU to anyone. Like, oh, I own this now. I will sell whatever I want. It was glorious. That's the power move I was talking about. You went in there and said, you know what? No, you're not going to keep us out. Not only are you not going to keep us out, but I now own this. Shut up.
Right. Yeah, it's been a fun ride. So
you're underselling the shit out of it. So, I mean, how has, now that you own the gun shows in Pennsylvania, do you go outside of PA at this point?
We're working on a couple deals, but right now, no, it's
okay.
Just
so
in Pennsylvania.
You own, the shows that I sort of grew up with here in Pennsylvania, all over the eastern and some out in the western part of the state. How is that going now that I don't know anybody that owns that sort of thing. How's that going for you?
It's going great. We love it. We have a lot of fun. All the vendors, well, I hope all the vendors are happy. I think they mostly are.
You can never please everybody.
No, certainly
What do you
not.
mean I can't sell 3,000 pounds of beef jerky?
Right. So yeah, we try to cut back on some of the non-gun things, and that's no matter what gun show you go to, there's going to be something there that you aren't interested in. But as it is with the internet, if you don't like it, keep scrolling, keep walking. Yeah. So that's kind of my philosophy here. But yeah, it's been great. We're opening up another couple shows. We're from the Pittsburgh area, and
I knew there was something wrong with you.
Yeah, most of these shows are out east. So we're trying to bring some back home, so I don't have to drive 4 and 5 hours every weekend each way to get to the business. But it's been great.
That's ideal. I was up at a place called Camp Freedom in northern Pennsylvania a couple days ago, and I drove down and I see this giant billboard with Eagle shows on there, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Reaching out to the corners of the state. That's neat. It's good to see that.
Yeah, we spent a ton of money on way more than I anticipated on advertising, but it's good. I mean, that's what fuels the beast. So we have basically two sources of revenue. It's vendors paying for their table, so that covers some of the rent for the facility, operating expenses, things like that. And then the door, so people that enter the gun show pay a fee, generally $7 up to $15 at our big show. So that the more we spend on advertising, the more inventory we get, is the way I look at it. So the more customers are going to come in. So that's good for vendors. They need people, warm bodies walking by to purchase their items, and we need people coming through the door for us to exist. So the first probably 6 to 8 months, I spent every dollar that we made back into advertising and trying out different things, and billboards and radio and newspaper and stuff's kind of dead, but there are still people that read the paper, and that's where they get their gun show schedule from. So it's been a little bit of a learning curve, and the previous owner did great. We just kind of added to that, and any new stuff that we come up with, we try, and we're not afraid to try something different. So
from my perspective, and I've said this many times, I think gun shows are dead. You're telling me they're not. The issue I take with a lot of vendors, and it's not an issue with the show itself, it's an issue with the vendors. And the problem I have is that a gun show, in my mind, used to be a place where you could go and get crazy deals, reloading stuff, ammo, good discount on a firearm, that sort of thing. And it got to a point, I guess after Sandy Hook is really when that transition took place, where they would just uproot their store for a weekend and charge exactly the same price and sometimes even higher. How do you deal with that sort of thing where, people come looking for deals and there may or may not be deals? How do you deal with that as a promoter?
So you're going to have that no matter what. There's good business people and bad business people in every industry that I've been in, interacted with. So, we have several guys that are fantastic at gun shows and they make great money. They sell tons and tons of product and they really understand it. We have other guys that don't. And so it's a learning process for them too. Not everybody wants to hear it, that maybe their system isn't correct, or if they change and tweak these few things, that they would have more success. So it's really none of our business. We want every vendor to make tons and tons of money. That keeps them coming back. It keeps the economy going, the 2A side of things going. But at the end of the day, if you're not making money at some of these shows, then there's something going on with your system, with your pricing, whatever it is. I throw out some ideas to guys and they just don't want to hear it a lot of time, or they'll just, oh, okay, he's kind of the boss here, so we'll listen to him and move on. But so there are deals. There's going to be tons of deals there. It's probably not as much as you're used to historically, like you said, pre-Sandy Hook. It's a lot of it's a convenience factor too. You don't have to wait for it. You can go and see 500 different guns under one roof and price it out and see what you like and buy it off the person you like, the color you like of the gun and whatever. So there's a convenience factor there that, in my opinion, is what keeps the price higher than maybe what you're used to in the past. So and another thing is, if you buy online from Gunbroker or any of these other large websites, you have to have a background check done at your local shop. So that adds another, say $25 to $50, maybe more, onto the price of the gun. Yeah. So you see a Glock for $500, at whatever.com. Well, you come to the gun show and maybe it's $520, but you don't have shipping. You don't have an additional background check cost on that. It's all bundled into that retail price. So sometimes it looks like you're paying more at the show, but when you figure in all of the expense that's associated with purchasing a firearm, a lot of times you are saving money, and you get it generally that day, pending your background check, of course.
Sure. I've actually considered trying to get a table from you to liquidate some of my inventory, just because it's such a good place to get a wide sort of net cast on who you're trying to reach. All kinds of people go to gun shows, and I still get asked all the time, hey, are you going to that? Are you going to Oaks? It's always Oaks for me because it's the one in my area, but it's always fascinating to see the type of people that see your advertising, because that's how they come, they see the ad and then they immediately ask me, hey, are you involved in this? And it's super interesting. So you went from owning JSD, you said that was your first one, and then a few years later you got into Eagle Shows. So you've now got two businesses under your show, and I know that you are effing busy.
Yeah.
What came next? Is that the correct timeline? So is that then the shows? Then what? Like, dude, you're all over what the hell?
Yeah. So actually, there's a step in between JSD and Eagle Shows. Right. Yeah. So it's Patmos Arms. So when we were selling, doing a lot of the 80% stuff, we had a hard time sourcing parts. And people probably don't realize this, but prior to 2016, Glock parts were either factory Glock or Lone Wolf, essentially, were the two places.
Really? I did not know that.
There was virtually, you had Agency Arms and Zev, but those were like the higher end stuff and not really, I'm kind of a working man's budget.
More budget minded. Yeah.
So that stuff's out of my price range and the general population, I would imagine, as well. There was a few other smaller guys, but they were all kind of premium. But Lone Wolf was like, they were the ones that kind of opened the door to inexpensive, affordable quality products. So we started buying things and I thought, I need to get closer to manufacture. I need to find somebody that can make these parts for me. At the time, the hard parts were the slide and some barrels that were tough to get. So we got introduced to a shop at a gun show. I think I was at York Gun Show this machinist came up to me and said, "Hey, I can make all this stuff for you." And I'm like, "Yeah, I hear this all the time," type of thing, you know. So we started talking, and he actually did. So they started making slides, Glock style slides for us, and some other parts. Then we got connected with some other companies as we grew. We found, or they found us, that could supply Glock style internal parts. So we drove the price down. You know, previously you were buying everything but the frame was probably going to cost you $600.
Right.
In the early,
it was
early
not
days.
cheap for a long time.
It was not cheap, no. And us, along with others, but I'd like to give myself credit for bringing the price of all of that down to a manageable level, and being able to increase the amount of freedom that people were able to create. So that's kind of what Patmos Arms was. It was
so it was sort of complementary to JSD.
Yeah, right. One wouldn't exist without the other, basically.
Okay.
So
that's interesting.
That's what we did there, and I named it a different name other than JSD Supply because I want to get into wholesaling to other dealers, because I knew there was tons of people that were in the same boat I was, and they're not going to spend the time or the due diligence or the money to make a large purchase or a huge run of parts at a time that you have to do to make it be worth anybody's time. So I can sell Patmos Arms brand easier than I can JSD Supply brand as far as a physical product goes. So I've always looked at JSD as like our retail outlet for whatever parts, other people's parts, that sort of thing. And then Eagle would be the third, I guess, in this chronological order.
Good God. I mean, first of all, I'm pretty busy, right? I'm pretty damn busy. You take that to a new planet with the amount of crap, because there's more. Yeah. I went to refresh my memory on your LinkedIn this morning, and I'm looking at it and I go, how the hell does he have any time to do anything like this? So educate me on what was next in your sort of timeline, because what I want is the audience to understand not just what you're doing, of course, yes, but the perspective of how you got to where you're at now.
Sure. So the next one is PR triggers, which I've been flashing around for probably 3 years now.
Mm-hmm. And it's been a while.
Yeah. So we do what I think's cool. I own the company. I like to have fun with what I'm doing. So if I see something that's cool, we're going to try it and do it and have fun with it. So that's where PR triggers comes. So pull, release, triggers. So along the way, we've needed CAD work, CAD design, so computer aided drafting and that sort of stuff. So I have a great friend now, or great two friends that own Stink USA. I think you're familiar with those guys.
Yes, so, my favorite people in the gun industry. You guys, you start putting your head together with Ian, and you get really weird shit that comes out the other side.
It's awesome. Yeah. So they've been just absolutely fantastic. Some of my best friends in the industry. We talk at least every day. A lot of it's your mom jokes and silly things, but we do. All
right, give me your best your mom joke right now.
I'm not sure I can say it on film.
All right, give me your best one that you can say and feel comfortable having other people hear.
I'll have to think about it. It's usually off the cuff, like it's something silly. Like
you'll say something. The back of her neck looks like a pack of hot dogs.
There you go. That's a good one. Yeah.
That's good. That's like middle school Jon Patton jokes.
Yeah, middle school is great. Yeah.
All right. So you get linked up with the Stink guys, and PR triggers, pull release triggers is happening.
So we sent down for determination to ATF. So that's another process behind the scenes that most people don't understand, is when you create a product that could potentially be a firearm. So like for 80%, for instance, we created a P320 style 80% receiver. Before we can release that and sell it to you, we sent it to the ATF to say, hey, we don't think this is a gun. This is why. There's a definition of a firearm. These things are not present on this device, on this product. So we say it's not a firearm, but you hold the keys. So we're sending this to you. You tell us what you think.
And that's tech branch.
Tech branch. It takes years. It took us, I want to say 2.5 years on the P320 style 80% receiver. So
when you say it takes that many years, is it just sitting for years?
It's just sitting. It's just
and nobody gives a shit at ATF about what you're doing.
Well, No, not really. There's no easy way to describe the process. So I've talked to them. I've talked to several. I don't know what their titles are, agent or whatever, ATF fella at the tech branch.
Cthulhu worshiper. Who knows?
Yeah, they have. It's the same line every time I talk to them, is that we have X number of hundreds of import firearms that we have to get done before we get to this other stuff. Now, at the time, I wasn't an FFL. So then the line became, well, you need to be an FFL for us to look at your things. Okay.
What? Okay.
Yeah, so I did. So I've had my FFL for basically the sole purpose of getting determinations looked at. Well, that didn't do anything. I still haven't gone. I've had 2 submissions that are 5 years old that are down there.
So wait. So you have submissions that have been waiting for 5+ years now?
Yeah. And they're never going to get looked at. And I've given up all hope on them, but I don't.
Wow.
It's just the way the government works to an extent. I don't know.
Why not just sell these products? Since ATF won't get off their ass, why not just say, screw it, we're selling them?
Because I don't want to sell 10,000 firearms without a serial number, without a background check, without proper documentation. I don't think they're firearms. You wouldn't think they're firearms. Nobody in this industry would think they're firearms. They're very similar to other things that are on the market, but I don't feel comfortable putting customers at risk, nor myself and the company at risk.
Do you feel like they're going to pull what they've pulled with braces and I guess also with 80s? I mean, do you think they could pull a switcheroo and be like, hey, you sold these, but just kidding, we suddenly decided to look at this and now you're all criminals? Is that what you think would happen?
I don't think it's out of the question.
Sure.
We've seen it happen previously with different unrelated, not even 80%. There was, I don't remember the name of the company, but he sold, I think, like an HK variant, and I'm not familiar at all with what he did or his process, but there was a piece inside the receiver that needed changed because it was too close to a machine gun.
I believe that was HK parts. I'm not 100% on that. Somebody correct me in the comments.
Yeah, someone will remember, but anyway, he had to take back those receivers or destroy them or whatever the process was, and it was a timely, costly thing for everybody, customers. And then you have a customer that's walking around with a potential machine gun, SBR, whatever the 3-letter words are that that they'd be in violation of. Yeah. So anyway, so we sent the trigger down. This has actually been relatively quick. It's I think we've been maybe 2.5 years on the submission part of it. We weren't going to do it, but then the FRT thing happened, and all the dramatics there. So we don't want to be caught in that. We want it to be very clear. And when I spoke to 2 agents at SHOT Show this year, and I explained to them that, hey, we just want this to be correct. So if you don't think it's correct, we don't want to sell it, but we have to get some kind of answer, and thought on it. So
I think it's interesting. I've talked to several people in the firearms industry about Tech Branch, and there were guns that were supposed to be imported that waited several years to get approval. And then the messed up part is, and this is mainly for context for the audience, if something minute changes on the firearm. So for instance, there was a firearm being imported that originally was approved, and then a modification or a change was made to the grip, and ATF wanted it resubmitted to be fully approved. That is why certain guns take for freaking ever to get imported into the US. And you're like, what the hell? Don't you want to make money? That sort of thing. Yes, these companies all do want to make money, but it's literally ATF is just sitting on their thumbs.
Right. And another thing, there's a ton of Turkish shotguns coming in. They're all the same. It's got,
yes, they literally are. I think they're made in like maybe 1 or 2 factories.
Sure. But the problem is that all of them have to be approved before they can come into the United States, because it's got a different name on it. If it's Jordan Vinroe Guns and I bring in this shotgun and they approve me, but Jon Patton Guns has the same shotgun under your brand, that has to be approved also. So there's, hundreds of these just Turkish shotguns waiting to hit the market that are all the same as the last hundreds of Turkish shotguns that have come in. So
they're all using Benelli internals.
Right.
It's a clone. It's a clone of a Benelli, and It's just so you're saying that's essentially clogging up the works. Is that accurate?
That clogs up? Yeah, we would have an unbelievable amount of things out on the market if that wasn't the case. So I have a stupid idea every day. So I mean, throw a little money behind it and see what happens.
That's why we're friends,
right?
Like, oh, you have a dumb idea, me too.
Yeah. And Ian and Will are here for it, so they're making it work. Yeah. So PR triggers. So the last we spoke to the ATF, they said this is maybe 3 weeks ago. They sent us. We sent a request asking for an update. They said that there's an agent on it, and it should be done in the next few weeks. I believe was their terminology.
What the hell takes so long?
Yeah. So and they wanted to see our patent paperwork. So we have a patent pending on this design. So we sent that down as well. So hopefully that should very clearly show that this is a semi-automatic, one fire on pull, one fire on release. Here's how it works. Here's why it works. Here's why it can't turn into a machine gun. That sort of stuff.
Yeah, because what is it? There's some language about like readily converted and that sort of thing.
There is some of that in there too. Yep. So, I mean, you could turn anything into a machine gun realistically. An AR-15 doesn't take much to turn into a machine gun. A Glock, the switches for a Glock you can buy on whatever, wish.com or whatever ads you're seeing out there.
Temu now. That's the new one.
Oh, Temu. Yeah, that's the new one. Yeah. So
it's the same shit.
Right. So we're hopeful that this will be approved by the end of the year.
So this is for people that are not tracking. This is a pull and release trigger for
Glocks right now.
Glocks. Okay.
Yeah. So Gen 3 initially, very minor change to a Gen 4 and Gen 5 as well. So double stack 9mm or 40 or 357 SIG. So like a G26 up through a G17. Those
I was told years ago when this first came to be, I was shown this product.
Yeah.
And I was told the price would be different than everybody else. Is that still the case?
Yeah, we're probably going to do an initial. Anytime we bring out a new product, we always sell it, least or less expensive initially right out of the gate. So you get a little bit of a discount for being one of the first people to buy it. Yeah, just in case there's something wrong with it or whatever, you at least got the satisfaction you didn't pay as much as the next guy, I suppose. So,
hey, it sucks, but we gave you a discount.
Right. So we've not had anything catastrophic happen, but occasionally you'll get a handful of things that's like, we missed that little part there or something. But so it should be in the probably, street real world $250 to $300, somewhere in there.
So are there other pull release triggers for Glocks right now?
There's one on the market and there's another one coming.
Are you cheaper than what they offer? Because I don't know what those are.
The one on the market right now is $229.
Okay.
It's a Big Daddy Unlimited.
There's a company I won't touch. No, not a chance.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
Yeah, I don't think they should have released it.
Dude, they owe so many people so much freaking money.
That's what I've heard.
So much money. I just keep hearing about how much money they owe everybody.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not touching it.
Yeah, I don't know. I've had a bunch of influencer fellas call me and ask if I know anything about them, and I don't know. So I don't really have any detail other than what, than what anybody has called me with. So, but they've released one they probably shouldn't have, is my personal and professional opinion. And then there's another one that'll be kind of the premium side of it. Franklin Armory's coming out with one as well.
Okay,
so that's a
so that'll cost $5,000.
Yeah, I think their range is, I don't know, $700 to $900, but they have a slide
for a trigger.
Well, it's a system. It's a whole system. So
no, listen, it's a trigger. Whatever box you put it in, $700 plus. You said I mean, look, their AR triggers are like $500, right? Something like that.
Yeah, something. Yeah, three.
Like
probably
they're kind of cool, but Jesus, that is insane.
Yeah,
that's more than a gun.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's caveat this, if that ends up being the price.
Right. But they have a slide too, though, so you got to give them. Mine's just a trigger.
Oh, so theirs requires a slide.
Yeah, they have it's a pretty robust system they have. It's nice.
That's fancy.
Yeah, it's an aftermarket slide, and then the internals for your Glock. So ours will just be the internals, quick swap out of the trigger housing, and a safety plunger into the slide. So we've
okay,
only tested
so I
it
shouldn't crap
yeah.
on them that hard with the addition of the slide. I didn't realize that was part of it.
Yeah. Just on the surface, if you're just looking merely at price and function, it does seem drastically different. But when you figure in a slide, a custom slide, and all the machining that has to go into it, that brings it back into perspective a little bit.
That adds to it for sure.
Yeah,
as long as it's nice.
Yeah. And Jay always does a good job over there. So good crew.
Assuming they give you the approval within a few weeks, how soon do we see these things on the market?
Probably another 2 months, just to make sure we get all the production.
What's the timing? Just to produce inventory?
Yeah. I have some of it produced, but we got to do the trigger housing, so we got to get a mold, and we can 3D. There's some heavy duty industrial 3D printer processes that we can use, so we'll probably do that for a little while, but that's not as fast as injection molding. So, we make a mold, and you can spit out, I don't know, thousands a week probably, or whatever it is. So
whatever insane amount.
Yeah. So that's the right way to do it, but we can do it. All of our tests have been with 3D printed trigger housings, and it's not like your Ender at home, like $100 printer. It's like it's like a $40,000. I don't know what it's called.
Are these like resin style printers? Or are you doing?
No, it's like powder. Layer? Yeah, so it's powder, and it's got
it's like a sintering kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of sintering. Yeah, there's some technical name for it, and you printing nerds are going to get mad that I don't remember what it is. But
guess what? We don't care.
It works. I press the button, it spits out a part. That's what I care about. So,
I have had the pleasure of meeting some of the 3D printing nerds at various events. I have yet to meet a quote unquote normal person that is into 3D printed guns.
Yeah, it's a fantastic
they're all
market.
A little bit of a lunatic in some way, shape, or form. I watched a guy one time. He was shooting, so it was a Glock, and he literally gripped it as I'm showing you here with his fingers like fully extended on the gun, and I'm like, what's happening with this guy? What is it? And it was one of the Glocks that has like the 19. Like it accepts the 33 rounder fully enclosed.
Right.
It was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in my life, and ever since then, every time I see a 3D printed gun enthusiast, they all just you guys shouldn't use gasoline in your cereal. I'll just say that. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, we've had a great time with the 3D print guys. We sponsor a lot of events, and
dude, they come up with some of the most amazing shit I've ever seen.
It's crazy. Yeah. I'd really like to be able to go into full production on some of those guns. And just, these guys have such great talent.
Do you have like a favorite of the designs that you've seen so far?
I'm partial to Glock stuff.
Okay, like so what would you say is like, we would want to make something like blah blah blah, like give a shout out to the guys that make that shit.
So for the Glock stuff, Chairman Juan is kind of the OG when it comes to stippled.
Okay.
You
I've
can
heard
print,
that name.
Yeah, you can print a stipple pattern on the grip.
Oh, that's cool.
It's super
I didn't know
cool.
that.
So he kind of pioneered it, or at least in my mind did. So I'm going to give him the credit for it. So if it was somebody else, you're wrong. So Chairman's been awesome. And then Middleton Made has a Mac setup, like a Mac 11 or whatever.
Oh,
He's got some awesome stuff.
I was like, is Steve Jobs pissed? No.
Yeah. So his, I would love to see go into production, just because it's such a cool looking design for such a simple platform, basically.
Do you think guns that are semi-automatic versions of machine guns are worth owning?
It depends on what it is.
So like a 249. It's like a $8,000-$9,000 gun.
Not for $8,000 or $9,000, I don't think. I think it's cool.
Because the transferable saw is, I don't know,
probably $80,000 or something.
Yeah, it's stupid money.
Right.
So by comparison, it's a tenth of that price, but it's still a $8,000-$9,000 gun.
I know. Do whatever you want. You got $8,000 or $9,000.
Well, that's such a middle of the road answer.
Yeah, I fully support all arms for all people.
You got to stick your thumb out like Bill Clinton. I did not. Yeah, I won't go there.
Right.
So you've got PR triggers. Is that going to primarily be that Glock trigger, and then maybe expand into other areas? Like, what's the plan?
Yeah, it'll definitely expand into other areas. But we're just starting there because that's where the
It's a good
bulk
spot.
of the purchase is going to be. And then
Sure.
that'll fund the rest of it. So, some Canics,
Ooh,
Smith
that
and
would be
Wesson
interesting.
M&Ps. Yeah. I mean, just whatever you can come up with. P320 I would like to do because we sell a ton of P320 parts.
Will will your trigger, your Glock trigger, will it work in a dagger?
Yeah, it should. We're designing it for the Gen 3 Glock right away. And
And
then
that's what the
if we got
dagger's based on,
it,
right?
yeah, so as long as it fits, like we tried it in a Shadow Systems, their trigger housing pocket is just a hair too tight.
Sure.
So we just got to make sure that we hit the middle of the road variance there to make sure we hit everything. Our dagger actually, I don't know why I didn't think of this, but we have like 6,000 rounds through a dagger frame with one of our
Goodness.
early prototypes. Yeah, that's what we take to all the range days. So I don't know if you shot. Did you shoot it anywhere?
Probably.
Okay, so if you
The
shot
last
it,
time I
it was
would have
probably the
seen that,
dagger.
I think it was Iraq Vet last year.
Yeah, I don't remember if we were at
I
that
don't
one,
remember
but
if you had it with you or not.
yeah. So if you've shot it, it's been in a dagger frame. That's kind of our little workhorse. So yeah,
Then
six
yes,
maybe
I have.
7,000 rounds. Yeah. So yeah, it definitely works in that. But
Well, that's
yeah,
freaking awesome because as far as from my perspective, PSA has ruined the Glock clone market
yeah,
by offering that gun with multiple magazines at 250. It's like the gun and 10 mags or whatever.
right.
I don't know if that's actually true, but it's some stupid cheap thing, and they all work really, really well.
Yeah, yeah. It's a stout little gun. But yeah, they've ruined the market. So
So one of my buddies who you might know, I'll tell you later what the company he works for, but Ben has been in a bunch of our videos. You guys that watch the TGC reviews and stuff will know who Ben is. He's my sort of long range expert. But I set Ben up with a dagger, and this is a dude that shoots a ton of sort of bougie high end ARs and bolt actions and all this sort of stuff. And he fell in love with the dagger. Like he came over and said, "All right, I want a new carry gun. What do you think?" And we sorted it out, and the dagger happened to be one of the choices. And he just absolutely loves it. And the gun's cheap as hell. It's like
yeah,
High Point territory. What the hell? How did they do
yeah.
that?
It's a great little gun. Yeah, the ergonomics on it are awesome. Fits your hand really well. It's not as blocky. I mean, a Glock style gun is going to be blocky no matter what, but
Right. And
they kind of
they
rounded the
defeated that.
corners and yeah, they did a really good job. I mean, those frames do not cost hardly anything to make. The expense is in the mold, so the mold's going to cost around 100 grand, but
And
the actual
they've
plastic.
more than paid that off at this
Oh
point.
yeah. The plastic costs like $8 maybe. So you have like $8 plus the metal, whatever metal they're putting in there, which is a couple more
Sure.
dollars. Yeah, they really don't have that much money into these things. Economies of scale. They're cranking out 10,000 at a time. It doesn't cost that much. So, and that's
So
kind
it
of the model
almost
we like too. We like to be able to crank out tons of stuff and sell it inexpensively. So it's a fantastic business model. I love it. It's just hurt the rest of the guys trying to do a similar thing.
Yeah, that is 100% true. They went in the last 4 or 5 years or so and just kind of bought the entire vertical. So
Yeah.
they own everything. And then I'm explaining this. I know you know this, but I think it's important for the audience to know that they own everything from like the forgings all the way up to final retail. So they own everything to make these products. So they control the entire process, and that's how they're able to continually make stuff really affordable.
Yeah, and it's quality stuff too. It's not, super
It's
junk.
not trash. Like
Yeah.
years ago, you would look at them and be like, I don't know, it's pretty cheap. I don't think so. And now they've sort of worked out all the kinks. But it appears you're sort of maybe not the exact same business model, but you're heading in that direction of casting a really wide net. So you've got Patmos, you've got JSD, you've got Eagle Shows, and PR Triggers. What's next? You know what? Before we get into what's next, I'm going to give a shout out to Blackout Coffee. Guys, if you like caffeine, you need to go get our Tenacity blend. It's got a little bit of, little extra something for you in the morning, and it's got low acidity. If you buy a bag, I will give you a high five in person the next time I see you, I promise. And if you use our code TGC, you get at least 10% off your purchase. Also, head over to Vertex. It's vertx.com. get yourself an EDC bag. I really like the Ready Pack. That is my favorite. It's kind of like a normal backpack, but it's meant to have EDC in mind. There's a spot where you can put a gun. There's spots where you can put your mags. They got the Tactigami. It's one of the best thought out EDC bags I've ever seen to date. Still excellent bags. And if you use the code TGC at vertex.com, you get a discount. So you've got all these businesses. Where the hell are you going next? What else is there?
Optics, of course.
Optics. Optics. Okay, so you're trying to. Okay, how the hell did this come to be? Because you got the shirt on. Right. What is the business for people that are listening?
Gideon Optics.
Now, people may have seen Gideon in some TGC videos. We're doing some advertising together. Explain Gideon.
Sure. So right now we're selling red dot pistol sights, so RMR and RMSC, and then we have an acro footprint as well. We have a Prism 1X Prism coming out for AR-15s, that sort of thing, and we're working on LPVO, low power variable optics, as well. So we should have 3 different styles of that coming out by Christmas time, I hope. Everything takes longer than expected, so but that's what we're working on, and some other enclosed RMR and RMSC style pistol dots as well. So like just a full freaking range of stuff. Yeah, and then we'll get into some longer range rifle scopes as well, 5 to 25, things like that.
So where are these being produced?
They're made in China.
I think it's important.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're made in China.
Yep.
Are you guys doing a large part of the engineering? How's that all working?
So the company that's making them for us makes for tons of other brands that you've heard of that I can't say, but they've been in the business for a long time. They've perfected all of the internal guts of it. So we come up with an external design, throw our little flair or flavor into it. We change some reticles, like the Prism will have a reticle that we kind of came up with. Same with the LPVOs. A red dot pistol sight is a red dot pistol sight. It's going to be a dot, a circle, whatever. There's only so much you can do with that.
Yeah, there's only a little bit.
Right. So those aren't like crazy exciting, but we're on the lower side of the budget pricing. So we're $200 to $230, somewhere in there, depending on where you get it. Optics Planet carries them. Aim Surplus carries them. So,
and if you use code TGC, I believe it's TGC. I can't remember. I can't keep up with all the damn codes, but I believe we have a code with you guys to get a discount. It's GideonOptics.com, and I believe that it's either TGC or TGC 10. Try both.
It's probably TGC 10 if I remember right. Bob sets all that stuff up. So
you
asked earlier how I do all this stuff. Yeah, you asked how I do all this stuff earlier, and I don't do it. I have a great team of guys and ladies that take care of the day to day, and they go above and beyond for what we need done. So I can't do any of this stuff without them. So, but anyway, Gideon. So just something else that we wanted to get into. We just saw, I kind of look for different niches in the market and see what's kind of coming and going. And we probably got into it a little bit late, but there's never the right time to get into a market or to launch a company or to do a startup. So we did it, and we're just chugging right along. So
what's like the long-term goal for Gideon? What are you trying to accomplish? Besides making a yacht load of money.
Yeah, I mean, money's kind of always the goal when you're in business. So we'd like to be able to support everybody with it. I'd like it to be a standalone brand, just like anything else. It'd be a conversation, just like Hollow Sun. They started out with hardly anything, and now they're a dominant player, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, something like that maybe. Doesn't have to get that big. That's a gigantic company, but, just have fun with it. We want to be part of the conversation. When
I am very, very, very critical of LPVOs. I'm very interested to see. I need this from you. I need you to do a really, really good, say like a 1 to 10 or even a 2 to 10 with a nice, really fine reticle. Like first, what is it? First focal plane. That's the term. Yeah. First focal plane, 1 to 10, good fine reticle. Because the issue I run into with a lot of LPDOs is that when you crank up the magnification, if I'm trying to group a gun, if I'm trying to perform accuracy testing, the reticle gets in the freaking way half the time when you're at max magnification on second focal plane. And I can't stand it. I can't stand it. Like, let's get these, let's get the capability of the optic to be increased by just, making those lines a little bit smaller. What do you think about that?
Yeah, get out of our own way. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm with that mindset as well. So Mike Branson works for us as well. So he kind of heads up some of the reticle decisions and math. He at least maths it out for us. So we all kind of talk. And he's kind of a mad scientist when it comes to that. He's worked for other companies, other optics companies, if you're not familiar with him. But
I am.
Yeah, he's been around. So I'll show you. I can send you some renderings of what we're coming up with, so we'll do it.
Yeah, that's right. That's a Firearms Insider. Yeah, I get to see it first.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see where that goes, because at the end of the day, what I circle back to with you is that you are a Pennsylvania guy, and I want to support people in the Keystone State when I can, and I think that's a really important thing to kind of support our own, because there are not a ton of strong firearms related businesses in Pennsylvania. There are a lot of firearms businesses, but strong and sort of leaders, we don't have a ton of them. So to see you getting out there and doing this is really important to me as a person. What do you think we can do here in Pennsylvania to overcome the sort of shift in, they always talk about color, so the shift from a red to a blue state? What do you think you and I can do to fight against that?
I've been on a educational tour a couple of times trying to get the word out about different things, and I'm only one guy or one company or one email list. So we all need to get together, and you've done a great job of it too, getting information out, and Guns and Gadgets and all the Arms Scholar and John Crump, of course, and the list go on and on, but we really just need to come together and stop infighting. All you hear at these different trade shows is that we're our own worst enemies. So whether it's at my gun shows or some of the industry events that we go to, it's like nobody can get on the same page. Like just the 80% thing. I don't hunt, or I'm not into archery, really. I'm definitely not into muzzle loaders, okay? But if you're out there selling your thing, your muzzle loader, your archery stuff, I'm fully supporting you. I don't know anything about it, but I'm going to stand shoulder to shoulder with you, and we're going to support the cause together, even though it's not my thing. Bump stock's another prime example. You hear, even today, well, it's not my thing. I don't do the bump stocks. But you sat on the sideline, and they came after bump stocks. They're coming after 80s. They're coming after pistol braces. Next, it's going to be ammo. They're trying to get serialization of ammo and background checks on ammo. It's not going to stop, and eventually they're going to take your muzzle loader and your Pappy's deer rifle that only holds 3 rounds because you're a crack shot at hunting deer. So I think we just need to come together as a community and stand together and funnel our abilities together and go at it as one unit versus this fragmented, that's not what I'm into. I'm only into this thing over here.
What do you think causes that infighting? Like, where does that come from?
People that need to be right. I don't know. It's difficult for me because I'm not that way. So I don't know. Tradition, maybe. Their Pappy did this or that, and Pennsylvania can't even have semi-auto rifles for hunting. It's very very limited right now. We just got that passed a couple years ago, I guess. But I'm not a big hunter either, so.
Dude, in my area, that's not a thing. Like, you don't hunt with rifles around here.
Yeah.
It's shotguns.
Shotguns. Yeah. I think Allegheny County is probably the same way, I think.
Yeah.
But so we can't even come together that firearms that we're allowed to own are suitable for hunting. It just doesn't make any sense. I can own an AR-15. I can do whatever with that, but I can't go put a deer down or whatever, a groundhog, a turkey, whatever it is.
Right.
It's so we fight over the dumbest stuff. None of that. That's just so stupid. It is so stupid. So I don't know how to combat it. That's, you figure it out and tell me, and I'll join you.
I actually had, I thought of this while you were talking. I actually had a state rep from what I will refer to as your area. Aaron Bernstein was on the show not long ago, and it was really interesting to get a chance to talk to a politician from Pennsylvania that is young and also of our mindset, because a lot of times the young politicians are just out there to soak up votes, and Aaron's not. And it's really, really kind of fascinating. What do you think of people like Brandon Herrera running for office? He's obviously running in Texas, but what do you think of all this? Like, is this the next move for quote unquote influencers to go run for office? Like, what do you think?
Well, it's been a popularity contest, it seems, over the past several years. So why not? Why not have, quote, our people lined up to take that role? I don't think I'd ever want to do it. It gets too personal. People dig into your personal life and just, intrusive, I guess.
Yeah,
so hats off to him for doing it. And we need people that are strong-willed for our views and opinions. That's what they're there doing. They're representing, the people of their community. And if this is what their community is saying, that's what they need to be in Washington representing. So that's great for him. I hope he succeeds and can get some things changed.
I saw something recently, or rather, I was listening to it. In my brain, I was imagining this, but I try to soak in some podcasts. And there was a guy on Theo Von's show called This Past Weekend, and the guy's name is John Vervaeke, and he was talking about he coined a term in my mind called confirmation porn. And I thought this was a really, really interesting thing, and it kind of goes with what we're saying. The idea is that political discourse has largely on the internet become this thing to like sort of dunk on the other side. And through that, we have lost this willingness to learn from each other and push forward. And therefore, it's just a matter of winning and completely destroying the other side rather than actually pushing society forward. Do you think it's possible for us to do that with guns?
Well, I don't know. It's a tough one. It's almost similar to abortion, where people have such staunch views on either side that, probably 80% of the total conversation is never going to be changed. You're not going to change my view on either one of those topics, and just a person opposing my views, you're probably not going to change theirs. There's probably maybe 20% in the middle that either just don't know or never thought about it. So I don't know. I listen to anti-gunners and the things that they publish and things they say on podcasts and try to understand their viewpoint. And it's similar with politics in general. I think we have a similar end goal of safety as far as guns go, but I think we get there in two different ways. Yeah. My side or my views are, if people have firearms, then the risk of causing harm to another individual is going to result in your own harm because everyone's armed. So if you're not going to break into my house without me counteracting that with my own firearms,
don't even try it. Don't break into Jordan's house.
Yeah. So if we go the other side where nobody has guns, then there's no risk of committing a crime, and the government can't protect everybody. They can hardly protect, I guess themselves or what. We just lost an F-35 fighter jet yesterday, 2 days ago.
I don't know how the hell that.
Whatever. Yeah. So we lost a fighter jet, but we don't want to have civilians protect themselves. There's multiple other things and nuances that go to it. We don't get invaded by other countries because everybody has a firearm according to, China or whatever. These guys all think that every American has a firearm because that's what they see.
I wonder if they're still afraid. Do you think they're still afraid?
I don't know. We got a lot of guns. I mean,
yeah, but there comes a point where their own hubris and arrogance gets in the way. I wonder if these Like Russia could invade if they wanted to. It could be, Wolverines. China could, in theory, they could. I often wonder if there is other reasons that they are at bay, so to speak. Obviously, political glad handing and money exchanging is part of that.
Sure.
The current administration's family is full of that sort of thing, just chock full of every place there's war, the president's son has collected money.
It's crazy.
It's kind of awesome. It's like, wow, dude, you're really it's like you're the what is it, the horseman before the war? I don't know. Full of shit.
Great business acumen. I'll have to give Biden credit for that. Yeah.
He made cocaine disappear out of the White House. He's a magician.
Just want to see how it smelled.
So you've got all these businesses. You've got all kinds of shit going on. How often do you get like full 8 hours? Are you able to do that?
Yeah, of sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to. Yeah, that's one thing that I definitely.
I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, I have to. I get to a lot of I have 3 daughters. I get to most of their games. They're cheerleaders, basketball, dance. All the girly things that they like to do. Yeah, so I get to a lot of that, which is hugely important. I mean, I started. We didn't talk about it, but I started off. I was on welfare when my 3rd daughter was born. We were in the hospital as my wife had just given birth to her, and I'm standing in the room waiting for her to come back up. And I thought, I have no job. I had another business prior to all of this, selling cell phones. And long story short, we lost that business, and I had no job. She was a school teacher that didn't get a full-time job yet, so she was subbing and working in a restaurant and things like that. So that put life into perspective for us, my wife and I and my family. So, we make sure that we're at as many of those things as possible.
Yeah, that's great.
Some major events I can't miss, SHOT Show, that sort of stuff. And the kids all understand. They realize that, people need to work to get money. So, but yeah, that's been a priority, is to get to family stuff. And I try to make it a priority for all the guys and girls that work for me too. One of our guys' birthday was last week, and a rule that I have is I don't work on my birthday, and I've not worked on my birthday for a number of years. Whether I work for somebody else or for myself, I'm just not going to work on my birthday. So I try to impose that on the employees too. Like, hey, it's your birthday, don't work. You still get paid. It's a vacation day, or it's not a vacation day. It's a paid day off. Like, don't work.
Go have fun.
So you need to have a good balance as best you can.
So the last thing I'm going to ask you, there is a firearms company that is closing their doors. I bring this up on TGC News that will air today, the day that we're recording this, because this probably won't go out until later this week. So Windham Weaponry closed. You are the person that is casting a very wide net. Have you made them an offer yet?
So I talked to you because I figured you were the guy that would know.
I wasn't going to bring that up. I wasn't going to share the inside baseball. Yeah. So as soon as we all found out, I get a text from Jordan, and he goes, "Hey, do you think they'll take? I don't know." He's like, "I think I might make an offer." That sort of conversation.
Right. Well, so you didn't know. So you weren't of any help in that conversation.
Mm-mm.
But
that's like the one company that I don't know anybody because they're useless. They did this to themselves.
Okay.
I mean, they spent they said they were in business for 12 years. Name one unique gun that they sell. You can't, because it's a copycat of all the old Bushmaster stuff.
Sure.
And at the time that was cool, and they were good quality rifles. Like, I'm not crapping on that. I'm crapping on the fact that they made no effort to grow. Mm-hmm. So what are you going to offer them, like $50?
Well, I'm trying to get a hold of them, actually. I found somebody that kind of knows them, and so I got kind of a contact info, but there's some things behind the scenes happening there that probably are far beyond.
Well, it's a bankruptcy issue, right? Or like the bank owns the company now?
I guess. Yeah, I don't know the details there.
They're probably not that hard to figure out. Like, I will donate a whole $1 to
It was
make
5.
sure.
You said 5 earlier.
Oh shit.
So I wrote you down.
I guess he's like, I wrote it down on the thing. I will donate 10 whole dollars so that you can purchase Windham Weaponry and make it less terrible.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I'd like to make it cool.
Yeah. I would love to see that.
I've decided I'd like to buy businesses rather than start them up that just has built-in revenue and that sort of stuff. So,
well, they've got built-in bankruptcy, so
yeah,
that's cool.
Ain't good. Yeah, they got a solid
however,
name.
We did see some really amazing stuff come out of the collapse of Remington. We saw some amazing sort of splits happening. I mean, right. AAC is back up and running in both ammunition and suppressor form. Right. Same AAC. They're both AAC. But we've seen a lot of that come out, so maybe there's potential here.
Yeah, Bushmaster was sold, relatively.
Yeah, Franklin Armory bought them.
Yeah, I thought that was a smoke, and I'd have bought it for that just for the rights to the T-shirts. I mean, just think of the apparel.
Just think of it.
Yeah, it's such an iconic brand. I mean, so he really Jay got an awesome deal there. So I hope he can add his magic to it and bring that to life again. So, or maybe he already has. I haven't followed.
I think it's one of those things where nobody gives a shit until they release the ACR.
Yeah.
You can sell AR because they've come out with a few new AR models, but in large part, most people go, don't care. Where's the ACR?
Yeah.
Don't care. Because the ACR, for those that don't know, the ACR was an excellent, excellent rifle. Right now, if you released it, it would end up costing $2,500 and be really heavy and just kind of they would have to update it, I guess.
Yeah. It was kind of ahead of its time, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it was originally... Now, this is a throwback. If I'm not mistaken, the ACR was originally known as the Magpul Masada. Masada is now a pistol from IWI, but if I'm not mistaken, the ACR was the Magpul Masada, and then Bushmaster said, hey, give to us for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to hold you all day. We just talked about the 3,000 businesses that you currently own and the more that you're trying to get into. Is there anything you want to tell the TGC audience before you roll?
No, just check us out on Instagram, Twitter, Gideon Optics, JSD Supply, PR Triggers, Eagle Shows, Patmos Arms.
The whole list of shenanigans. I'll make sure to get at least one or two of those in the video description. Jordan, thank you for giving me your time today. I really appreciate it. And hopefully we can get you back on once that trigger comes out, and we'll talk more about that.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome.
Good seeing you.
As always, guys, check out our sponsors. I've been beating that drum, Blackout Coffee and Vertex. The code is TGC on both of those websites. I really genuinely appreciate it when you support them because they support us. We can keep doing this. It's a good time. Jordan, as always, thank you for being here. We'll see y'all next time.